So I came across a comment on social media the other day. It said, biological age versus real age is a total scam. If you want to see your real age, look at a master's category of athletic feats, such as a 1-mile run time, not some scammy algorithms. If the body can't physically express a performance, then you're the age on a birth certificate. I reposted that and said, yep, totally agree with this. And a lot.
So he just mentioned scammy biomarkers. We're going to get into that. And he's comparing them with athletic feats. And how can you predict longevity between the two?
A lot of interesting comments and questions came in. But the one that I wanted to chat about was one that said, Peter, I mean, yeah, this kind of makes sense, but like, why would physical tests be a better measure of biological age than fancy biomarkers?
So he's talking about fancy biomarkers that really suck at predicting how long you're going to live. They're not meant to do that. They're measuring pathology. So the kidney function through GFR, the heart function through ejection fraction. When you run standard medical tests, it's measuring risk factors and it's measuring pathology. I'm here to tell you that there's a new blood test called MVX Plus. It's measuring function of physiology. And it predicts longevity in that what's your chance of survival of the next 5 years. It's very mathematically accurate. It's been tested by the NIH on 30,000 people, 6 different cohorts. One was a healthy cohort. The other 5 had some disease. This test has been used to measure longevity for people with multiple sclerosis, liver transplant, cardiac catheterization. So MVX Plus is new. It was released January 6th of 2025. That's why Dr. Attia and a lot of other doctors have never heard of it. So I've been studying this since May of 2024. And once it finally got released in January, then I started running it. I've run it now on about 900 people. And it's absolutely fascinating. It's a great clinical picture of your overall health and how your body is functioning. Not risk factors. Risk factors, they don't work so well. And pathology. Let's go back to what Dr. Peter is saying here.
Ultimately, physical performance is indeed the best metric of the limits of capacity.
Let me butt in here. There are people who cannot perform physical feats very well, but they live a long time. There's an exception to this rule.
So there are non-physical performance metrics that we can look at as well. I could look at your kidney function. I could look at your glomerular filtration rate. And that would certainly be a marker of age. But honestly, it's only in an extreme case would that.
It's not a marker of age, it's a marker of pathology.
That give me an insight. In other words, only if somebody is 50 and they have a glomerular filtration rate of somebody who's 80 would I say the negative. But the positive isn't really there. If you look at my glomerular filtration rate, it's over 100. That doesn't really tell you much about me, even though I'm over 50 years old. It tells you that my kidneys are in great shape, but it doesn't tell you that I have the kidneys of a 20-year-old, because quite frankly, they haven't really deteriorated in any measurable way since I'm 20. The same would be true of my ejection fraction. It's really good today. Now, of course, there are certain other factors that invariably go down. Resting heart rate goes down, resting heart rate goes up, heart rate variability goes down. But ultimately, if you really want to understand biological age, I really like this idea of we should look at physical metrics, right? We should be looking at VO2 max. We should be looking at strength.
But there are people who are strong with really good VO2 max, and they run, and they die of a heart attack on the road, or they die of a heart attack while playing basketball or lifting weights. So they look good. They can run and do all these athletic performances, and then they get a cancer diagnosis. So it's all about physiology and how your body's functioning on the inside. You also know of people that don't exercise and they live a long time. My grandmother died at 98. She didn't exercise. So when you have exceptions to the rule, then you can't necessarily apply the rule to yourself, because you might be the exception to the rule. But there is a solution, and that is MVX Plus.
We should be looking at hardcore performances, including other things, by the way, that are a little more subtle than the aggregate pieces. But we would want to look at things like balance. So how well can you stand on one leg with your eyes closed? How long can you do that? And can you even do more challenging things like turn your head? Push-ups, pull-ups.
MVX Plus measures 6 factors. One of those is toxicity. In my life, I've had 3 bouts of toxicity. I had the gas leak at my house for over a year in 2024, and I had black mold toxicity in 2016. Both of those caused unbalance. they both caused lack of endurance in the muscles. When I had the gas leak, I would drive to the gym to go work out. I would sit in my car for 30 minutes trying to breathe, and I would just drive home. The gas leak caused high pulse, high blood pressure, trouble breathing, so poor VO2 max. It's actually increased now in my Garmin watch from 37 to 41 because I've detoxified. Now, in the early 90s, I was working on the family farm. I got poisoned by parathion, which is a terrible pesticide, and I detoxed from that in 2005. And within 3 months of detoxing that pesticide, I could quadruple my pull-ups and I doubled my push-ups within 3 months. So my athletic feats got better because I detoxified. That's how you get healthier. And so MVX measures toxicity, inflammation, infection, malnutrition, and all of those lead to mitochondrial dysfunction. Those are the best factors to determine if you're going to live long or not. How well does your body detoxify? Now, of those 6 factors, 3 of them are the branched chain amino acids. So are you eating enough protein? Do you have enough vitamin B1 in order to digest the protein? I think the main reason why you want to exercise is to increase your appetite so you can eat more meat. That's the biggest benefit of exercise. And there's all these other benefits, but the main point is get more protein in your body. That repairs your tissue. It repairs your immune system. It repairs your membranes, your tissues, et cetera, et cetera.
Am I optimistic that we will have blood-based biomarkers that give us more insight about age as time goes on? Absolutely.
It's already here. It's MVX Plus.
Do I think they are all complete and utter garbage today? No, I don't.
The ones that we have now primarily measure one biochemical pathway in the cells. It's called methylation. I don't want to get into it. But the cells detoxify in many ways, but they're only measuring that one way, methylation. But it's an incomplete test. Now, one test for longevity using methylation, it costs like $1,000. If you order MVX Plus from my office, it's $89. It's really inexpensive. I've been running it monthly on myself since January, and here it is, August. So I get a readout on my health every single month. You can run it twice a week if you want, or you can run it, every 3 months. It's up to you and your goals and what you're trying to do.
I think there are some out there that probably give us a little bit more of an indication of rate of change of age than actual age. But at the end of the day, I don't believe that there's a single blood-based biomarker that you can look at and it can predict future years of life very well.
So he's talking about the single blood-based biomarker. He's talking about methylation. But now MVX Plus is these 6 factors. One of them is a multi-factor for the immune system and inflammation. So it's like watching a movie. These readouts in MVX Plus, they give you a beginning, middle, and end. Whereas GFR for kidneys or ejection fraction for the heart, that's kind of like a snapshot at that moment in time. But with MVX Plus, you can actually see your body improving in the blood physiologically inside. It's really fascinating. When you start detoxing, MVX tells you, because now you look worse for a period of time, then the idea is to look to be better. So when people detox, they feel better. MVX looks worse. That's just part of the deal. That's part of the package. That's how it goes. It's been the greatest clinical tool of my 30-year career.
Don't discount the basics. The basics are how well you physically perform.
The basics are get rid of all the chronic organisms in your body, reduce inflammation naturally, detox, 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 eat a lot of protein over fats and carbs. Make sure you have enough B1 in your body because that's the single most important nutrient for every human being on planet Earth and plants and animals. Those are the basics. I don't care if you could do one push-up. I don't really care. I'm sure when my grandmother passed away at 98, she couldn't do a push-up or a pull-up. I don't care. Probably at the age of 60, she couldn't. Doesn't matter. What matters is your body functioning on the inside? Now, if you want to exercise, great. Do it. I do it. I love it. I go to the gym. I bike. I run. It's fun. Makes me feel good. But I don't think it increases longevity. The basics are the things I just mentioned. Here's the graph that shows MVX Plus being the best way to predict longevity or mortality. You can see on the left here, it says cumulative mortality incidence, and it goes from 0 up to 70%. And on the right, it says your MVX score. So your score should be low. And when you're healthy, it's going to be low. And on the bottom, it says time, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. So if your score is 75, just scan all the way to the left. You'll see that the cumulative mortality incidence is 60%. And if your score is 35 or less, then your cumulative mortality incidence is going to be about 2% or 1%. So the point is, run MVX Plus on yourself. Know how to reduce your mortality by fixing up the 6 factors of MVX. I've been doing this now for my whole career. And I figured out the 7-step blueprint to optimal health, which I'll show you in a second. And it addresses the 6 factors of MVX. Here's the 7-step blueprint to optimal health. I created this over my career, and it lines up exactly with MVX. I have plenty of videos about this. So this is the solution to the problems discovered in MVX Plus. This is the original article about MVX Plus when it was introduced to the public. And you can see right down here, it says MVX February 2023. There's the link. And within this article, there's some amazing graphics. I'm going to show you 2 right now. Here's the first graphic. This is the old way of measuring longevity. And these are the fancy biomarkers and risk factors that Dr. Attia mentions. And this is what medicine is measuring left and right over and over again and trying to predict longevity. And you can see at the top it says age. So this bar graph is telling us that when you do the math to figure out how long you're going to live, age is the greatest factor in those math equations. The next one is kidney function down here. And then you also have previous heart failure. There's BMI, diabetes, smoking, hypertension. So these risk factors have exceptions to the rule, which is a problem. Here's the new way of measuring longevity. And you can see MVX is at the very top here, and it's about 70% of the math of determining how long somebody's going to live. Next is age, and that's about 20% of the math. So people can be 95 years old, but if the MVX score is very low, like 30, they're going to live another 5 years. And if somebody is 60 years old and their MVX score is 80, which is terrible, chances of them living 5 years is not very high. They need to work their butt off to improve their health and fix up the 6 factors of MVX. The rest of the risk factors become negligible. You can see they're at 0%, 1%, 2%. They all become less than 5% of the math of determining longevity once you incorporate MVX Plus. So this is the new way of measuring longevity. When you test for methylation, you test for GFR, you test for cardiac function. Those are risk factors and those are pathologies, whereas this is actually testing physiological function at the mitochondrial and cellular level. So when you're helping the body get better, you're fixing all the cells, you're fixing all the mitochondria. You're not just focusing on one organ like the heart or the liver, although I'm not discounting that. I'm saying the body's made of cells, and if the cells aren't healthy, then no organ will be healthy. So the focus is getting the cells healthy, and the first way you do that is detoxifying. The second thing you do after you detoxify is nourish. If you want to order MVX Plus from my website, go to the front page, nhcaa.com. Upper right corner, it says MVX Test. If you're a practitioner, you can order it for your patients. If you're a patient, get your practitioner to order it. There's only one of me, and there's like 1 million medical doctors, and there's 350 million Americans. I can't do it all myself. I have a training, mvxtraining.com, and this is for providers so you can learn how to run MVX and interpret it. The initial training is at 3 hours and 20 minutes. It's broken up into 5 sections. And then I have what's called the 7-step blueprint to optimal health, which took me 2 years to put together. And it solves all the factors in MVX. And practitioners take that course and patients take that course also. So patients, you can go to theholistichealthacademy.com and sign up there. Providers, go to mvxtraining.com. It ends up in those same website, but there's different portals. My last message is this: the best way to increase your longevity and increase your health is with diet and supplements. That's been my career since day one, is using only diet and supplements to get people better. No drugs, no over-the-counter drugs, no needles in any form, no prescriptions. It's all diet and supplements. And MVX Plus, the lab test, verifies that. So if you have a bias against supplements or herbs or a healthy diet, you have to remove that bias. If you think that your statin drug to lower your cholesterol extends your longevity, then that's not true. That was already tested at Duke University. Statin drugs are a failure at improving your MVX score. They will never publish that study. At Duke University, they also studied exercise, and it did not lower the MVX score. It did not make it better. Again, you have to clean your body out. That's where the detox supplements come in. A healthy diet, high protein, get rid of organisms, reduce inflammation. And if you want to be a patient in my office, you can call this number right here.